Well, I'd like to start the meeting and welcome everybody. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Smith, Vice Chair of the Toronto Community Housing Board of Directors, and I will be chairing today's meeting on behalf of the Board Chair, Tim Murphy. I would like to welcome everyone to our meeting because, especially on this snowy day, it's a nice, perhaps one of the little benefits of doing it virtually. Because of the pandemic public health measures, we are once again holding the meeting through our WebEx and live streaming it on YouTube. I'd like to make the land acknowledgements, and let me begin by an acknowledgement that the land we are all on, is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse nations. Inuit, Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Before we start our meeting today, many of our tenants and public who are supportive of the work of Toronto Community Housing fully understand the contribution that has been made by Sheila Penny. And since this is the final board meeting of our Chief Operating Officer, Sheila Penny, Sheila plans to retire on March 31st, 2022, after a distinguished career in both the private and public sectors. During her 9 years with the organization, Sheila has made a huge contribution to Toronto Community Housing and tackled many big challenges. Some of these accomplishments are, and I'll list them here, securing $1.3 billion over 9 years for capital repairs through the National Housing Strategy. The funding has enabled TCHC to improve building conditions across the entire portfolio. Leading the implementation of TCHC's operations restructuring and shaping the creation of the tenant service hubs to bring services closer to tenants. Building TCHC's capacity and expertise in delivering supports to tenants in their communities. Fostering collaboration with our labor partners to support frontline staff in delivering outstanding services to tenants every day. Rallying an organization to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, successfully keeping tenants and staff safe. Developing the 2021-22 strategic priorities to focus on TCHC on 6 goals for delivering tenant service excellence and strengthening our core enterprise functions. Being a champion for making TCHC homes and buildings accessible for tenants with disabilities through an innovative partnership with the tenant-led Our Path Committee, which has garnered national recognition. Improving TCHC design standards to ensure the tenants' needs are met and our buildings fit well within the fabric of the city. And on top of all that, Sheila has twice served as acting CEO to provide staff, tenants, and the board of directors with steady leadership through significant periods of transition. Sheila has had an extremely positive and productive impact on the organization in countless ways through her outstanding leadership, commitment to tenants, and support of our staff. On behalf of the entire board, I want to thank Sheila for her contributions and wish her all the best as she enters her retirement at the end of March. With much deserved retirement, Sheila, we want to express our great appreciation for your contribution to the organization and especially for the tenants. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. It's appreciated.
Well, we have a lengthy consent agenda this morning, followed up by an update from our CEO, Jag Sharma, on the transition of the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation. The board looks forward to hearing about the work being done to transition to the new corporation, which we're targeting will be on June the 1st. The work involves a high level of collaboration between Toronto Community Housing, Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation, and the City of Toronto, as well as between the boards of both corporations. All of us share the common goal of achieving a smooth transition with minimal disruption to tenants and employees. Chief Financial Officer Roseanne Lee will bring forward a report requesting a board resolution to enable the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to renew mortgages on behalf of TCHC. The lenders have been selected by the ministry through a public tender to obtain the lowest interest rates. The mortgages are for TCHC's buildings at 75 Northcote Avenue, 11 Randall Avenue, and 21 St. Joseph Street. We will also have a report from the three board committee chairs. As our chair, Tim Murphy, customarily has done these past months on behalf of the board, I would like to thank the staff for all their work they are doing to deliver essential services and supports to tenants, in particular the work they are doing to help tenants get the COVID-19 vaccines, so important for everyone. This includes organizing and hosting vaccine clinics in our communities to break down the barriers to vaccination so TCHC tenants can get the vaccine and stay safe. Since the vaccination program began last April, more than 500 clinics have been delivered successfully in TCHC communities in both the seniors and family portfolios. TCHC's work has drawn praise from Mayor Tory, who visited the on-site clinic at the 55 Rankin Seniors Building earlier this month, alongside our Deputy Mayor, Bello, and Councillor Joe Cressy, and our CEO, Jag Sharma. Once again, on behalf of the board, I want to thank all our employees for their tremendous work they are doing to organize vaccination clinics for TCHC tenants and to deliver essential services, provide support, and keep the business of running smoothly. That concludes my opening remarks. Thank you very much. We will continue to follow the process we have previously established for both deputations and from members of the public and voting during the course of today's virtual meeting. Members of the public wanting to depute to an agenda item on today's agenda have the option to do so by either submitting a written deputation or being teleconferenced into today's meeting to orally depute the board to board members. I believe we have 2 deputants today on 3 items. I will now review the public consent agenda items and public regular agenda items as listed on the agenda. We have consent agendas A to 2A to 2M. And at this point, we're looking to hold item 2D, 2I, and 2J which will be deputed by individuals. Are there any items that any board member would like to hold? Please speak up if I can't see you on my screen. Hearing none, we will look for
Brian, I've prepared a motion
can
to.
have a motion to approve the consent items and I should have added the regular items. Are there any regular items that anyone wants to hold? If not, can I please have a motion to adopt all the consent and regular agenda items except for 2D, 2I, and 2J? Moved by Councillor Nunziata, seconded by John Campbell. Thank you. All those in favor?
Brian,
Yes.
sorry, there's no longer a deputant for item 2D.
Okay.
Okay.
Did they withdraw or just not
Yes,
here?
yes, they did. They withdrew just now.
Okay. Sorry. So then we can include 2D in the motion if that's acceptable to Councillor Nunziata.
Yeah.
Thank you. So all those in favor of approving consent and regular agenda items except for 2I and 2J. All those in favor? I think that's everybody's approved, so motion is carried. Yes, at this point, Dara, we should look at the two items, item 2I, and look for the deputant to speak to that. I believe it's Kathy Kunzman, if I'm correct.
I believe Ms. Kunzman is on the line.
Hello.
Kathy, please begin when you're ready.
Yes, I was wanting to get in contact with the Ouch for a long time and have not been able to do so. So that was one of the things that I wanted to bring to them is part of like the future plan, because in our community in St. Jamestown, we're going through a transition right now where until April the 30th, they're evicting a lot of people in order to pave the way for the new plan with Toronto Community Housing, managing the buildings as the Greenwood exits. I just was speaking to some of the eviction crews who don't have any place to live, and their concern was that they will be bumped out of the whole process and have not ever get an apartment, because under the new rules that Toronto Housing will propose, supposedly it's going to be more difficult to do evictions with all the ODs they've had on Bleecker Street. A 90% increase. It was printed in the Toronto Star that they would be bringing new rules in. However, I've been told that lately that there are no new rules being brought in and everything's going to stay the same, which is contrary to what they had agreed earlier, that they would do something about the OD crisis. So traditionally, they just try to evict the problem cases. But with all the ODs, it was decided they would do something. Now they backed out again. And I find that the Ouch program should be able to do something to alleviate the gap there. However, I haven't even been able to reach them at all because my phone's is, because I'm on this unofficial eviction list. My phone gets hijacked to some call center that they said was a Greenland office said it's Greenland on behalf of Toronto Housing. It goes to a call center where they don't let you speak to anyone. If you ask for any staff, they say they've been told not to transfer it to anybody, give any numbers out, and they will read something off the computer, but they don't really know too much. And they say that there's all these officers. Now, the pro bono law said they want to do something about it because, like, it's not just Toronto Housing. If I call legal aid, they'll transfer the call, they say, but to an information specialist who has no information on my file. I'm concerned that maybe I needed to get to maybe even come to one of your in-camera meetings about where you discuss the freedom of information and exceptions to it, because it seems to be that I'm in that category where I can't get access to my files at all. And the tribunal, the Landlord and Tenant Tribunal, said that some tenants are evicted that way. They don't know why they do it that way, where you can't even access any of your files and you're in court and evicted. They said that I was listed under some terrorist thing, which they knew that the CSIS found out that there's no way that that could be possible, and that it's just evictions that they're doing. So I would like to ask here at this meeting that I think the community needs, because there's a question why tenants are asking why is CSIS even there, and I'm assuming that OUCH doesn't go against CSIS, so you can't get any help from them or even the city eviction prevention initiative. They can't help because they say it's the federal government. Why are they in Toronto Housing? That's the one place CSIS is not supposed to be, in people's private dwellings. Because where do you go from there when they're out to get you evicted? And it seems the purpose is they want to sell the building altogether to the condo market because it's beside the subway at a good location, the Sherbourne subway station. I think that's against the Toronto Housing plans to just get rid of public housing with a process of gentrification. But it seems like that's what's in the works. They've got condos going up all around this area. So I'd like to call for full public inquiry into the actions of CSIS, which is overdue for many other people as well across the country. They hack into every single thing and erase all the emails. I even just had trouble. The secretary called me and my phone was muted, but luckily I caught that.
Kathy,
yeah.
we've reached the time, and I have a couple of questions for you. One is, I would suggest that if you someone could from staff could contact you back to find out the specifics. And secondly, I would like to know if Sheila's on the line, or whoever the staff might be, to clarify this situation that has been referred to at St. James Time. And then John, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, so the audio wasn't very good, but can you tell me, are you presently subject to an eviction notice?
No, I'm in the unfortunate circumstance where I was voted into the N50 Club. This is the unofficial meeting that Green Lynn and Complex Toronto Housing Tenancies and Evictions crew hold every week. I think there's a meeting Wednesday for the management, and the security meet on Thursdays. And they voted me into that N50, which means you have your 50 chances and you don't have any, you don't get any documents. They just evict you illegally.
Okay, that's fine. And the next question is, did you try to contact the OUCH?
I've tried to contact them for like the whole entire length of the pandemic. The last time when I spoke about when I was on in December of 2020, they said that they indicated that they would be calling me, but they never did. I did reach one person. That was the last time I spoke to them, and they told me that my phone number is something different. And they said that there's nothing they could do.
All right. So you are currently a resident of Toronto Community Housing, and you last spoke to OUCH in December.
That's right. And I've been calling them, and I even filled out the form online. Like there's a contact form that you can fill out. They did mention something about they help people who are 59, but I happen to be I will be 59 March 11th coming up, and they just changed their policy now to include everyone, so that I wouldn't even be under their lens necessarily when I turn 59 in 2 days.
It's not very clear. Okay, so Mr. Chair, I think Mr. Chair, I think your suggestion is good, that somebody take the deputant's information and look into it a little more deeply.
And also there is the difficulty of reaching me because the calls are going to a call center is screening them to go to a voicemail that nobody ever answers.
I don't have any further questions.
I think,
if we have your, you could, Sheila, I don't know whether you're online, if you could connect with this lady and see what, and I'd also, is there a particular issue with the St. Jamestown area? I'm asking the staff person. Thank you. Sheila?
Mr. Chair, we will have staff reach out to the deputant and review what the issues are and see what assistance we can offer.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thanks very much, Kathy, for your deputation. You also were the deputant on item J, 2J. Is there anything further you would like to say with regard to that item?
Should we move but 2I first?
Well, okay, they're both with regard to the commissioner. I was hoping that we might do it both together, but is there anything further you would like to depute with regard to the Office of the Commissioner of Housing Equity, the performance appraisal? Kathy?
Sorry, Sonia, you may need to unmute.
right, with the, hello?
Yep,
Yes.
we can hear you now.
Okay, so with the 2J, I noticed that Toronto Housing, there was a possibility they could follow along with what Elgin was doing, which I think is good because there seems to be a disconnect where they're not accepting the tenants coming to them independently. And I can't even get any workers who might have been able to refer me. Now, what I'm assuming the problem is, they do mention how many of the policies are not being followed because they have a whole method where they do illegal evictions, and the Landlord Tenant Board is well aware of that. So if Toronto Housing would kind of monitor them, because what I think will happen, since they seem to have a very high success rate, once they do take a client, like 88%, something like that, they just avoid not all the other problems by just not accepting the client in the first place, like they did to me, and that's to allow for the illegal evictions. So I think they could improve things by monitoring them and trying to not allow so much of it's too large of an illegal eviction component there. For whatever reasons, they want to keep continuing along that path. That could be improved. So I think that's a good possibility. But the other thing is in the speaking to 2I, once they get into the program, to follow the policies, because I find that none of the policies are being enforced. And then the other thing is, at the end, I was evicted before with the sheriff, and some of these people, they don't have powers of arrest. I was arrested the night before court one time. The other time, 2 police officers that were off the record. 5 minutes. That time they evicted. It was all done illegally. Everything about it. I was not even in the apartment. So all of that is illegal. So I think they need to have a working committee to bring in new rules, because if it doesn't get trailblazed in a better way from the beginning, it's going to end up, it's all the same thing. Nothing's going to change. And there's a lot of people that are going to lose their homes when they sell the building. It looks like it might be headed that way because they can just continually evict it. I was told many people are already have left the building and apartments are being sold to the point where there's no longer have a building and they can just sell the whole thing. So I believe that they need to strike up some kind of committee or a public inquiry about why is this happening. Like I said, I just spoke with the evictions crew. They said they were open to doing some brainstorming in the meetings where they have more of an input than being blindly told what to do by the security, which they say holds a noose around their neck practically, figures things out. Because what they told me that they end up stealing people's apartments. They steal each other's apartments. And I said, how can you do that? So they said, because it's cold outside. You know, as we can see, there's a lot of snow. They don't want to face that. So, but there's needs to be some kind of brainstorming to figure out some solution to all this. You know, to the shortage of the housing prices in Toronto. Better than just, you know, just stealing an apartment.
Kathy,
Yeah. And I'm not.
Go ahead. I was just going to suggest that if you provide the information to the staff person who will contact you, and with regards to the Housing Equity, Commissioner of Housing Equity, any issues that are brought up could be forwarded to John Campbell, who's the chair of the Tenant Services Committee, and also communicates directly with Ooch. And then we can look at any issues that may need to be addressed. And I think that would be the best steps to address the issues you've raised. So a staff person.
Well, I brought a new computer.
Pardon?
Mr.
I brought a new
Chair,
computer, but they tend to get into everything.
Mr. Chair, the deputant has made her point, and it's about the OACH. You've given a pathway, and I think we should thank her for being here today, and that would be the conclusion.
Thank you, and I'm going to try to email like you asked for. I will send you an email to everybody. Thank you very much.
To the staff person at TCHC will contact you. Great, thank you very much for your input, and I'll ask for a motion to approve the item 2I and 2J that were on the consent agenda. Do I have a mover? Councillor Nunziata, seconder Naran. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 3, business arising from the public meeting minutes and action items. Item 3, forward to the board. Board members are asked to identify any matters, including as business arising from the public. Are there any issues that anyone wants to raise? Can I, John, yes, sorry, I didn't see you there.
Yeah. On item 2, the arrears collection process, management to report to the board on the status of TCHC's actions in adopting a new process, a new arrears collection process, including KPIs in 1 year's time as part of any successful performance update. So that's coming through in Q3. And that was, all right, I guess, because the purpose of that is to wait 1 year, 1 year's time, rather than get some sort of an interim indication. That's a question for JAG, Mr. Sharma.
Through the chair, if I could invite Ms. Penny to comment on that, I believe she may be more familiar.
So through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct. We were looking for a full year of implementation and then we'd report out, but I'm sure staff could bring an interim report after 6 months if that is of help to the board.
So there was something in the materials that said, you know, there hadn't been that many instances, only 4 or 5 instances where this had come into play. And it doesn't need to be a written report, but some sort of verbal update as to how the new process is working would be welcome. Maybe that could come to tenant services. It just seems like a long time to wait before we get some sort of indication as to how things are transpiring. Okay, that's it.
Great.
Sheila, you don't
So
really
could
need to
I-
worry about that, okay? All right, we'll leave that over on the corner of Jag's desk, okay? And then we'll remind him, okay?
Thank you.
So if we can I please have a motion to receive the business arising from the public meeting minutes moved by John, seconded by Council Nunziata. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, item 4, mortgage renewals. I think Roseanne's gonna speak to that item.
Thank you. And through the chair, this report brings forward, looking to seek approval to renew 3 mortgages that are due for renewal on May 1st, 2022. The transactions total a maximum of $6.2 million as in the chart in the report. It's with lenders selected by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. So as mentioned previously, the 3 properties are 75 North Coast, 11 Randolph, and 21 St. Joseph Street. And I'm seeking approval for the renewal of these.
Got a question?
A question, John?
Yeah, do we, Roseanne, do we lock in these terms for a period of, for 5 years or 3 years, or what sort of strategy does the corporation employ?
So these mortgages are actually, they go through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, so they're not directly through TCHC. These are old mortgages that were over, when the initial date, these were probably, could be over 30 years old already. Some of the old mortgages were about 50 years old. So these are the remaining terms. Our strategy, though, has recently for the TCHC mortgages has been a amortization term of 30 years.
Right, but we do, but when we renew it, is it just like with a residential mortgage, you renew for
Yes.
5 years or 3 years, or you pick, you know, a variable rate? Is that the way it works?
No, so we have to go through the municipal affairs. They do a tender to different financial institutions, and then they get rates, competitive rates, and then we have to lock into those. So it's either 3 years or 5 years.
And so you need a bit of a crystal ball to do it right. And do we go back and look at and review our decisions, what we might have done a few years ago? Is there no point really in doing that?
No, not for these ones, not for these ones, but for the current ones that TCHC does go into, yes, we do go back. For example, with our IO mortgages, we did go back and renew, and we had an extension for those.
Got
So
it.
depending on
Okay.
the terms, our recent loans have come in at really, really low rates. One of
I
them
would
was
think
sub
so.
1%. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're pretty secure in making the payments, I would expect, right? So, okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Malone.
I'm sorry. So do we have a lot of these mortgages with the ministry?
We have I don't have it on me right now, but I can get back to you. We do have quite a few numbers remaining.
And what are we paying in terms of interest? Right
This
now?
one, on average, they're about 6%, but these ones we won't know until we close on the mortgage on May 1st.
So when was the last ones that we've renewed under this program?
Oh, I will have to look that up.
I'm just trying to understand. I mean, 6% is quite high. So I'm just trying to understand are we getting a good deal, or should we try to get out of the system? And is there a possibility for that? Because we're
Yeah, so-
getting mortgages at a much, I mean, you just mentioned 1%. So why are we?
Yes. No, these ones are probably going to come in around 2%, maybe sub 2%. Now, some of the high mortgages, and Deputy Mayor Bala, as you recall, at one point CMHC had run a mortgage renewal program where they can waive the penalties. So a lot of mortgages where we're locked in, they are subject to penalties if you early renew. So we did capitalize on any of the high mortgages that were allowed to be renewed in the past. These are on the scattered homes, the single family homes. So they were ongoing. We're near the end of it. Some of the amortization on these, let me see this one. The amortization on these are pretty low now. So there's not many years remaining. This one's 60 months, 96 months, 84 months. So that's, 12 years for one. 60 months. And I'll have to get back to you on the total mortgages.
Yeah, I would just like to have a full picture just to see if there's, again, if we need, we had an issue, right, that we identified, we advocated to have those funds available so we wouldn't pay the penalty. I mean, there was a lot of work involved in there. I just want to make sure that if we need to go a bit further, that the analysis is done, Roseanne. So if you can provide us with that, is there anything else that we can do with regards to the bulk of mortgages that we have at 6%, and can we in any way reduce that?
Okay, I'll do that.
Councillor, could I suggest that maybe that should go back through BIFAC and then you could have a more thorough discussion there?
And just to confirm, so you believe that the rates we're going to get for these three, because you're seeking approval just for these three, are going to be in line with what we're getting through our other methods? So
definitely. Definitely, because they do go through a tender, and it's always competitive rates in of the market.
Sounds good. Thank you.
John, you have a question?
Yeah,
yes.
Just some follow up on the councillor's question. So Roseanne, you said we have some mortgages at 6%.
We have some that are possibly higher as well. Yes, we have some CMHC mortgages that we were not able to renew under the program that they had run several years ago.
When were those negotiated?
Oh gosh, it's a long time. It's even pre TCHC when it was incorporated in 2001. Some of these were 1980, 1990.
It was
So
probably,
because
John,
it
it was
was
probably before you were born.
yeah, okay. So so with CMHC you're locked in then, are you? There's no 5-year renewal or 3-year renewal.
That is correct. Yes.
Wow.
So there was a program where we saved probably $8 to $10 million. I'll have to relook at the number, but we saved a substantial amount of penalty waivers because it allowed us to renew it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? So hearing none, can I please have a motion to approve the recommendations for the May 2022 mortgage renewals report? Thanks, John. Seconded by Anna. Thank you.
Can I just ask directors who have their camera off to turn their cameras back on, so that it appears that right now only 6 directors have their cameras on? Thank you.
Next item is the seniors housing transition update, and I'm asking our president and CEO, or maybe it's actually the vice president, Paula, to report on this item. So sorry. I think Paula, you're on the agenda to report on this. Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair, thank you so much. So what you see in front of you is an update report or a status report on our progress related to the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation transition. There are some updates as it relates to our work against 4 key areas: the lease agreements, service delivery agreements, and the transfer of employees and transfer of tenancies. We are working collaboratively with the city, as well as our colleagues at Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation to ensure we align to the principles that were set out by the city at the initial direction, which are outlined in the report. Specific interest for this particular report is our work around tenancy transfers and ensuring that we're covering a number of different areas, such as how information related to residential tenancies will be transferred to specific agreements, providing support and advice to our colleagues at Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation as it assumes its role on June 1st. And also developing communications and support plan for tenants as we move into that phase of the transition itself. And as well, because we know staff are critical to that transition and supporting our tenants, ensuring that they're fully informed in terms of the work that's ahead as well. And then also a big piece of our work is working with an organization called MMP, who has been procured by the city to help both organizations determine what shared services will look like between both organizations as of June 1st and beyond. We are currently working with them to review an interim report. We've had lots of meetings with this organization, as a collective between 3 parties: the city, Toronto Community Housing, and Toronto Seniors Housing, and then just with a view to being able to maintain service as well as ensure minimum disruption to tenants with an eye on cost as well. So that work is ongoing. This month is a critical month for us as it relates to coming to agreement between all parties to be able to move forward and identifying any risks and challenges at this point so that we can mitigate them in good time. So I'll pause there. I don't know, Jag, if you want to add anything to my comments.
Through the chair, no, not at this point. Happy to take questions.
Any questions from directors?
Brian, it's Paula F. I'd just like to ask Paula K. Would you read those first 4 points? There's the shared services, the tenant transfer, the employee transfer, and there was one other, because I thought you captured those so well like that.
Yes, the lease agreement. So what would
lease agreement? Okay,
yeah, that's
so
what we're thinking as well.
Those are the 4 big buckets that need to be undertaken, and I think we're on target for the transfer for the tenants, the transfer for the employees, correct? And
That's
these
correct.
other ones are still all the fine details being determined. Great.
Absolutely. And through the chair, yes, they're determined by other factors such as technology, the underpinnings of being able to make those items successful. So that's the work that's currently.
That's fine. Yes, I thought that was a really good way to have that for 4 areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Other questions from directors? Hearing none, I'll ask, can I please have a motion to receive the seniors housing transition status update for board information? Moved by Uba, seconded by John. All those in favor? Motion's carried. So we have updates on the committees and as chair of the Governance, Communication, Human Resources Committee, I'll just make a brief report. As everyone knows, we've been working in to reach compliance with the city's open meeting requirements. The Governance, Communications, Human Resources Committee had 3 focus sessions that provided valuable input, and at our last governance committee meeting, we had 1 deputation as well on the matter. The feedback has been really valuable in reviewing our policy, which will be brought back to the governance committee and before it's being submitted to the board. And I just would like to personally thank all those who participated in providing feedback, not just with regards to the deputation process, but the broader issue of governance was really appreciated, and I'd express my appreciation to those tenants who participated in the process. It was very, very valuable. Thank you. So that is, so I just ask if I could move that there, I guess I can't as chair, but someone move that you accept the report.
I'll move that.
Thanks, John. All seconder. I can see. I'll call you Paula. Thank you. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. The next item is
I think it's the
John,
tenant service.
your report, Tenant Services Committee report.
Nothing to report to Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess we don't need a motion then, do we, Diamond?
No.
No, great. And the last one is BIFAC, and unfortunately Adele and Way, and I have a brief note from her with regards to that. They've been very busy with the annual audit plan for 2022. 2 facilities management awards, the residential package thermal air conditioning replacement, and the site building repairs retrofit for 3943 and 3945 Lawrence Avenue. And also updates regarding impact on Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation transition on the homes application. And finally, Q4 2021 homes project update were all part of their last session. So with that, just ask for a motion to receive that. So John, thank you. Seconder, thanks, Uba. All those in favor, motion carried.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sorry, if I may,
John?
there was a topic of conversation at Tenant Services that I think would be of interest to anyone who may be listening, and that was in regard to proposed changes to the deputation policy. And there were some views expressed at the Tenant Services Committee that we were not in favor generally of changes to the deputation process the way that it is right now. And I'd like to just ask staff when, and I should know this, but maybe you could just report there as to when those recommendations or when that report is coming back.
So the direction that we'd originally brought forward the proposed changes to the rules to the Governance Committee. And out of Governance Committee's deliberation on the matter, they referred it to Tenant Services with a process to hear from deputants, with the intention that once that process had been concluded, we'd be back before Governance Committee with our proposed changes. So we'll take the report back to Governance Committee. We will, the report we bring back to Governance Committee will be informed by what we heard from deputants through the process at Tenant Services, and it'll be a revised package of rules that go to Governance Committee and then ultimately to the board.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, John, for the question. Yes, want to be clear on that. So I think we've reached the end of our agenda. Just wanted to set a high bar for Tim in the next meeting. And hope everybody has a great rest of the day and this snowy day. And thank all those who've joined us today on YouTube for their interest in the work of Toronto Community Housing.
Brian, if I may, just one last comment. Sure. Yes, I appreciated your comments for Sheila Penny, and on a personal note, I would also like to extend the very best from me. I worked with Sheila as a trustee at the TDSB for a number of years and saw the great work that she did there. She then went over to the Toronto Lands Corporation and continued to perform, just wonderfully. And when I joined the board here, I was really happy to see Sheila, in place doing the work that she did. And I know that I speak for all members of the board as you did in thanking her and wishing her well. And Sheila, I can hardly believe you're really actually going to retire this time. You know, just, I don't really, I have a feeling you're going to appear somewhere else because I can't imagine you really retiring. I don't know if you knit or anything like that, but you know, I have a feeling you're going to find a way to keep busy and keep productive and keep making a contribution to the betterment of our city and our province. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
certainly second that from everybody here.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
all the very best, Sheila, and keep in touch. We'll probably be back to pick your brains. So, anyways,
Thank you very much.
so if on that, just look for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anna, thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Nunziata. All those in favor? Motion carried. Have a great day and all the best.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Brian.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.